When I was, I would say I was 4 or 5 years old, my uncle, my dad's brother, he bought a motorcycle. It was a Honda CB 125, and it was baby blue. It was the most beautiful thing I could possibly imagine. I saw, and as soon as I saw this bike, and I was in love. So put me in the back of the bike, and we went for a little ride, and then right away I was hooked. I pretty much ride every day, and you come up, you stop at the red light or a green light, or you stop and you see this bunch of kids passing through. They're going to school or with their moms or whatever, and you see that 1 or 2 kids, they're checking you out, and they have this awe, this face, the drooling face, big eyes, they're checking you out, the sound of a motorcycle. And some other kids, like they're oblivious to what's going on, like you're not even there, and you could tell like that kid got it. That's a kid that I could relate to. That was me. I mean, I could tell that the passion that kid has, that was me when the first time or second time I saw a motorcycle. So yeah. I think it's by now, it's became part of my life, you know. All my friends all my close friends, they're all riders. And of course, every chance we get, you know, we try to get on a motorcycle. As you see, any other chance I get, I try to work on my next project. It's that sense of freedom that you feel on a motorcycle that you can't possibly get in any other vehicle. Maybe a jet fighter or something will come closer, but we got to do what we have right now. So I would say, yeah, motorcycle, it is part of my life. I could say I'm getting more distance to my friends that they don't ride, because, you know, all the free time that I had, we get together with all my friends that ride, and we, you know, we spend that time and ride together. So the friends that they don't ride, I hate to say it, but I feel like I don't spend much time with them. And sometimes, like, I get a phone call from a friend that I haven't seen in a while, and he's like, oh, you know, what's going on? I haven't seen you for a while. And I'm like, man, I'm riding, and, you know, he's like, so either, yeah, absolutely, you know, it does affected my social life with people that they don't ride. I have brought a lot of friends to this life, to motorcycle life. I couldn't even count how many. A lot of my good friends, they weren't a rider till we became friends, and eventually, slowly, I got them into riding. Yeah, and also my girlfriend too. She's also, I slowly got her to this life, and now she can't get enough. And the next step is my boy, of course. I want to get him into this life, a motorcycle life, as soon as he's old enough to get his license and more responsible. I've been riding for about 30 years. I've been in a major accident, I would say 3 times in my life. First time when I was, I've been in minor accident, just going down on the dirt. You always go down on the dirt. It's so hard to keep it straight. The last one, which was 2014, about 2 years ago, it was one of the major one. It was a hit and run. It was a Sunday morning. I was going up to Bear Mountain. I normally ride with a bunch of people. Just that day, I decided to get on and ride by myself. And as I was going up to Bear Mountain, I believe this person was texting. I was on a far slow lane, signal to come out of the exit, and this person on a passing lane, on a speed lane, he was text messaging me, and he weaved out of his lane without even knowing, and he came and rear-ended me. And he didn't even bother stopping, so he left me there with a broken leg. I was in the hospital for a while, recovering, and yeah, it wasn't fun. And my mistake was that day I wasn't wearing my riding gear, which I normally do when I ride. Just that day was a hot day, and I figured, you know, it's just too hot for me to put my gear on. So I think because of that, I, happened to broke my leg. If I had my shin protection or my knee protection, at least it would take some of the hit, and the damage would be minimal. I always recommend to my friends, my students, always wear your gear, because when you go against the car, unfortunately we lose. So, if you don't have that gear to protect you, then you go into a you go into a war without a gun, so. As soon as I was able to get rid of that crotch, I jumped on a bike, and I remember with my good friend, and we took it right up to Jones Beach. And I was kind of limping as I was walking. So it didn't really cross my mind not to ride, because truly that's the moment when I'm on a motorcycle I feel free. So if you take that from anybody, I don't think they will be living well afterwards. Even when the doctor at some point approached me and said that we might have to amputate your leg because it's not healing well, even at that point, I was thinking about what happened if I lose a leg, you know? Can I get a fake leg, start riding? In the beginning, yeah, I did a lot of traveling alone, but throughout, like I lived in Seattle, Washington, I lived in West Virginia, I lived in California, I lived in Florida. So I have friends that I would like either meet up, they would do some of the trip with me. Some friends from Charlotte, North Carolina, some good friends that they would do the trips with me. But mainly I would either start it alone, especially on my cross countries, because it's kind of hard to get everybody to have that time off. You at least need about 3 to 4 weeks for you to do a cross country. Because roughly it's about 3,000 miles, and who wants to go straight forward? And there's a lot of beautiful places for you to see, especially in the West Coast. A lot of national parks, Grand Canyon, and so on and so forth. So it is kind of hard to get people in sync with your time. But yeah, I mean, I had some friends that did a lot of East Coast trip with me, down to Appalachian Trail, or down West Virginia, going through the mountains, or Florida trips. But West Coast was always pick up a friend from in between and ride about 1,000 miles together, and they decided to come back. So we were on this road, about me and I think 6 friends on a motorcycle were following me because I had the GPS, and we were going to this camping spots to camp overnight, which was this mountain called Mount Mitchell, which is like a highest point in North Carolina. So as we were going up there, come around one of the turns, there was a skunk, a huge skunk, who was eating another dead animal. And I don't know if you guys familiar with skunk. Skunk doesn't move for nothing. Just because they think they could spray you, they have that sprayer mechanism, so they don't move for nothing. I came around, I had no room to avoid that skunk, and I hit that poor skunk. And obviously right before I hit the skunk, he just turned around and sprayed me. And the smell of skunk, when you get sprayed, is like the worst thing you could possibly smell. So the whole bike, actually I was on that bike, the whole bike, the front of the bike was all sprayed on. My pants, my shoes, my boots were sprayed on, and smell was horrible. I mean, I was nauseous. All my friends behind me were nauseous, but they had no choice to follow me because I was the one with the GPS, and they didn't know where the hell they were going. So pulled up to the next gas station, the next town. I'm power washing it. This is at 9 o'clock. Power washing it. That smell is not coming out. I mean, the substance is like a glue. So as we stunk up the whole place, North Carolina State Police pulled up at the gas station, the biggest redneck I've ever seen, with a cowboy hat, cowboy boots, wearing jeans and a t-shirt. It was hilarious. This guy pulls up, and with this heavy accent, he comes up to, he's like, "Who had this skunk there, boy?" And I'm like, "It was me, sir." He's like, "Oh, you city folks, from where?" I'm like, "From New York City." He's like, "You don't know what to do with that skunk now, do you?" I said, "No, sir." He's like, "Well, get yourself a tomato juice." So I learned something that day, that if you mix some tomato juice with water and spray on anywhere the skunk sprayed on, it will, this acid in tomato juice would cancel the smell. One of my memorable trips, I I was coming from Washington State, Seattle, Washington, and I was riding it through Astoria National Park, which is it's a beautiful rainforest park in western Washington. And I was camping overnight and by the Pacific Ocean, and got up next morning. I packed my gear and put it in the motorcycle, started the motorcycle for it to warm up, because overnight the kind of temperature dropped and it was kind of cool. So I started the motorcycle. As everything was packed, I had to go use the bathroom. I went to use the bathroom, and as I finished using the bathroom, I noticed bushes were moving around about 20 feet in front of me, and I heard a huff, and I automatically I could tell what it was. It was a brown bear. And the brown bear looks like had a cop. As soon as it saw me, it gave me a chase, started running at me. And thank God my gear was on, the motorcycle was on. I jumped on the motorcycle and took off. And this thing gave me at least a good 100, 200 feet a chase, which was one of the scariest things that made me feel like I was really alive. But overall, all my trips, it was good. One time, one other good trip, I ran out of gas in Wyoming, coming out of Yellowstone National Park in the middle of nowhere. I remember the town that I passed was 50 miles away, and I had 1 bar on my phone. So I sat there, I figured somebody would pass. I sat there for at least an hour and 50 minutes. Not even one car came through this lane, to this road. So I had 1 bar on my cell phone. I decided to call anybody that will pick up. So state police, called up the state police. They asked me where was my location. I told them my location, and the state police says, well, sir, we can't come over there. I'm like, what do you mean? Aren't you a Wyoming State Police? It's like, nah, we are, but where you are is an Indian reservation, is out of our jurisdiction. So we have to call the Indians to come and get you. So automatically in the back of my head, I'm like, wow, the Indian's gonna come and get me. So I was thinking about, I don't know, stupid, that, in the back of the horse, So about 45 minutes, a truck came out a dirt road, the green truck. So I kind of felt that it was like maybe a park, a national park police or something. So this guy pulls up, this big, tall Native American guy that I've ever seen. He just pulls out a truck. He looks at me. First, he wasn't too happy about it, and then came up and he asked, what am I doing here? I said, that I'm crossing through, and he's like, where am I from? Where I'm coming from? I said, from New York. And as soon as I say from New York, he's like, where, New York City? I said, yeah. His eyes opened up, smile came out, and he's like, and he's like, oh wow, I love that city. I fell in love with my first love, and I was coming from Korean War in the 60s, late 50s, 60s. I fell in love with this girl in Times Square. So he's going on and on and on. And he's like, where are you going? I'm like, well, I did the cross country. I'm going back to New York City. He's like, well, not tonight. I'm gonna take you to my village. I'm like, wow, awesome. So he gave me some gas, and I followed them back to their village. And I was hoping for some teepee, So, but it was like a regular village in their hometown. And he introduced me to his family, and then some of his neighbors came around, and the whole entire time I'm like, where's the teepee? Come on, show me a teepee. He's like, don't worry about it, we got you taken care of. So a couple hours later, he took us to one of his friend's house, and they had a teepee in the backyard. So the whole the neighbors came out, and they had the whole ceremony, and peace pipe came out, and it was a good memory. And I still kind of keep in touch with that guy. He's old man now, he's old man, but good stuff. Overall, through all my trips, everybody was friendly. I mean, everybody was out there to help you, especially when they hear you coming from New York. The attitude kind of changes. I know it's kind of well-known town, and everybody kind of knows it. And especially on the motorcycle, you get a lot of, everybody wants to help you out. Actually, only time that we felt that there was an issue, this was back in, again, early 2000. Me and a good friend of mine, we decided to ride it to Mexico, go to south of Baja, Mexico, the peninsula of Mexico. And we rode through Mexico, everything was fine, and second night, And halfway through Baja, we were camping by the Pacific Ocean, and I would say about 3 o'clock in the morning or so, we heard a truck pulled up, and the road was about 300 feet from the Pacific Ocean. So, and there was no road. I mean, there was a main road, but where we pulled out, there was no road. We just jumped on a bike and came, and we were camping overnight. So these 3 guys that pulled out a truck with machetes in their hand, and they wanted to rob us. I guess they saw the bikes, they saw the plates that were being from the United States. They pulled up, and the Spanish, and they were asking for money. So we woke up, and they were pretty drunk. They sounded pretty drunk. And with my broken Spanish, I let them know that, hey, everything is cool, tranquila, relax, no problem. I got dinero, dollar. So I went back to my tent to pull the money out. Thank God I had a gun with me that day. Normally, because we were heard in Mexico, if you can, carry. So I had a little compartment on my motorcycle that I had built previously and put a little 9mm in there. So I pulled the 9mm on the guy. We ended up robbing them. So we end up, have them drop off everything, drop off their clothes, even down to their shoes, even down to their drawers, and took the key and tossed it to the water and made them walk home or whatever they were walking to. And then we came back, we packed and disappeared because we didn't want to wait for them to come back with their friends next time, maybe bring back the guns. Even in Mexico, we got pulled over close to Baja, the peninsula, the end of the Baja. And these 2, I guess the Mexican police, they wanted a little bit of money, they didn't want to give us speeding tickets. So once they found out where we were from, they just became our friends. And one of the guys, they wanted to take a picture with the motorcycle, and they ended up giving us their M16. We were shooting their M16, and they took us to their home, and we spent the night with them, drank the whole night, and good stuff. Good party. Good tequila, actually. Yeah. Well, I always tell everybody, if you don't have to ride in the city, try to avoid it, all right? But sometimes, you have to commute. I personally commute with motorcycle. I can't stand driving in the city. Every morning I get up, I look at my Waze, or my GPS tells me about 45 minutes to work. It takes me half of that. It takes me about 20 minutes, 22 minutes to work. So I save all these time. I mean, think about it, doing that twice, that's about an hour of your life every day. Multiply that to 5 days a week, that's a lot of time. So that's why us as New Yorkers, most of us are pissed off. They're angry because they're sitting in the traffic all their life, and a lot of road rage. So that's why I recommend to everybody that get their license that try not to ride a city if you could possibly, because it's not really fun. You got more aggravated, you got people that they don't know what they tune, you got outsiders that they don't know how to drive in New York City. My favorite ones are New Jersey drivers. I mean, they are dazed and confused when they come to the city. So it's not a fun place to ride. And besides, our roads are horrible. It's really horrible. And in a city that, it's a very rich city for us to have a roads like this. It's unreal. If you can't, don't ride it. It's not fun. It's more aggravating than anything else, and danger. It's a dangerous place to ride. So, not fun. Well, I think, first of all, we need to make a better drivers. All right, it's just the system here is just too easy for you to get your driver license, because over here, pretty much you could get your driver license in any language possibly. I mean, are any of our signs in the city or street are in Chinese? No, but you could take that exam in Chinese. So it doesn't make no sense. So that's why I think that we have a lot of bad drivers in this city, because the system is too easy for them to get your license. So I just think that we need to make better drivers, that this way they will be aware of what's going on around them. They're not just falling asleep behind their wheels. And now, these days, everybody's text messaging, everybody's in their phone, which is even more dangerous than anything else. It's worse than drinking and driving, actually, because now you're not even paying attention to what's going on in front of you, because your head is in your phone, and that's 3 seconds or 2 seconds that you're away. A lot could happen, and I see that a lot. I'm riding and I see the car in front of me is kind of feels like this person is drunk because he's kind of weaving in and out. And you come up next to him, see what's going on, and this is exactly what's going on. His head is on his phone. Yes, I'm a big fan of it. I mean, honestly, you cannot sit in the middle of the traffic with all thousands of cars, especially on a hot day. The heat from the cars, the heat from your motorcycles is impossible. So right now, only state that made lane splitting legal in California, and I'm hoping the other states will follow. And actually safer than lane splitting than not lane splitting, because the chances of somebody rear-ended you is much higher than for you to get sideswiped. I always tell all my friends and students, there's a two-way of doing things, the right way and the wrong way. Safe way, unsafe way. So if you're gonna white line, if the speed if the traffic is going 5 miles an hour, for you to do safe way, to do it maybe 3 miles or 5 miles over the speed limit, have your blinkers on, make sure everybody sees you. And if you're doing the right way, I even seen even police officers, they'll have no problem with it. And if you do it the wrong way, you're just taking a much more risk. And somebody could just change the lane without even signaling. So you're just leaving it up to that person. You're leaving it up to the driver. And that's just taking a bad risk, which is, like anything else in life. If you do it properly, you might get away with it. If you're not doing it properly, then you might not come out ahead. Anything could change. We the people have the power to change anything we want, all right? Not the government. If the people want it, the government has to change. So it's up to us, Anything you want in life, you just have to get up and try to get it. If you just sit back quiet, nobody's gonna give you anything. So you have to work for it. Even with motorcycle life, everybody that my students or all my friends, I tell everybody to join AMA, American Motorcycle Association. These are the institutes that try to get the laws in our benefits. There's other laws that, especially in this state, that doesn't cover motorcyclists. It's called no-fault law. That means that even that you weren't at fault, just because you're on a motorcycle, you're automatically part at fault, which is not true. I mean, it's just a way to get around. I mean, some people, they might take that motorcycle and make it look as horrible, and the rest of us, we're just there to commute or get around as easier than the rest of the people sitting in the traffic. So we shouldn't be singled out as just because we're on a motorcycle, we're some hooligans or, I have friends that they're doctor and they ride motorcycle. I have friends that they're lawyers or judges that they ride motorcycle. So I think we should have more laws that helping us to create more riders. This way it will be less polluted city. Instead of one person sitting in a huge SUV, which is not necessary, taking all the space, making all that creation of the traffic, which should be less. Look at European country. I think they're more looking after the motorcyclists. They have their own lanes, to promote more cyclists than we do in this country. So I think, there should be some laws that protects motorcyclists more than what it is right now. And lane splitting should be one of them. My goal is to be able to just keep on riding, and for a good cause. I believe in peace. I think everybody does. I mean, who wants to have war, unless you make weapon. Unless you sell a weapon for war, that's the only people who would like to have war. So I'm all about, live and let live and living a peaceful life. And my goal is to be able to get up and ride from country to country, country to country, country, and promote unity in people, all right? I think these borders are it separates people. We should realize that we're not from a country. We're from a planet this is a home to 7 billion people. And these borders, all it does is separate us off. It creates boundary, it creates difference. My goal is someday to be able to get rid of all these borders and create one nation under peaceful living. It's far-fetched. far-fetched. Instead of spending all these money to kill each other, we could really educate each other, feed each other. Last year alone, we spent close to $135 billion for our weapons. Just what? To kill each other? That's ridiculous. For $35 billion, we could feed everybody in this world. So think about it. We spend 4 times as much just to get rid of each other. And it's unfortunate. I always say the only way a human being was going to get together and take care of themselves is to when the aliens land in every state and capital and say, hey, I'm here to collect your sorry asses. So that's the only time that it would unite us as a human being. Until then, we have a lot of work to do. So yeah, my goal is to be able to promote that someday and hopefully do another Back of the Motorcycle, what I really love to do. And hopefully with a lot of friends that would love to do the same thing. I left Iran a long time ago in the late 80s, and unfortunately I haven't been since. And the reason I haven't been there since because of what's going on there. I don't believe in what's happening there. I don't believe in that a government should take people's freedom, you know. I mean, come on, you know, we have one life to live. You can't tell people how to live their life, you know. So I don't agree with what's going on with certain countries. So because of that, I'm not willing to go back till the regime changes to become a much freer country than what it was before the revolution. One of the good documentary kind of stuck in, and actually I met the guy. It's called A Long Way Around and Long Way Down. It's Ewan McGregor. Him and his buddy decided to get on their motorcycle and ride from London to New York. So, and they document the whole thing. I mean, they did it in luxury. I mean, they had a motorcycle, BMW gave them a motorcycle, they had a truck that followed them, and they started from London. They went through Europe to Russia, and from there they shipped the bikes over to Alaska, and they rode it through Alaska to New York. So when they got to upstate New York, me and a bunch of friends, we rode up to OCC, Orange County Chopper. They met there, we met them, and we were able to ride from there all the way down to Times Square and down to Ground Zero. Great guy, just like all the other bikers that I've met, the love of riding. Well, today I had to do some work on some of these bikes. This bike I'm going to get ready for the road trip. I'm going to use this bike. And then I'm going to meet up some friends this afternoon, take a little ride up to Bear Mountain. We're going to go to Westchester County Triumph and test drive some of their new bikes that is coming out. So I think that's going to be my day like today. More than welcome to join us on your motorcycle.